discuss next topic of trigonometry. As you know that in the previous class I have already discussed some important formula of trigonometry and conversion between degree to radian and degree, and how can you convert from degree to radian and radian to degree. And I have also discussed difference between geometrical angle and trigonometrical angle. Today I will discuss about circular function. In short, after it I will go to a study about quadrant formula. First of all, I want to define circular function. What do you mean by circular function? As you know that at the level of class 10th, in right angle triangle, I always define sine, cos, tan and other trigonometric ratios. But circular function is nothing. For defining trigonometric function, we take a circle whose radius is equal to 1. When radius is equal to 1, in that case, you can easily define in one term of, that means sine and cos can be easily defined in single terms of A or B, and other in terms of A and B. But sine and cos can be simply defined as terms of abscissa and ordinate. So circular function helps us to easily understand trigonometric function. So circular function means that if you take a circle whose radius is 1 and suppose that there is a point whose coordinate will be AB having abscissa A and ordinate B, and suppose that O is the origin and AB the extreme point of radius OA, and P is the point whose coordinate will be AB. In that case, if you take this angle will be theta, then you can define after drawing the perpendicular from P to OA, suppose that this point will be B, then you can see that here sin theta is equal to simply perpendicular by here perpendicular is equal to A and base is equal to P. This is will be that, and it will be 1 always. So you can say that sin theta is equal to A and cos theta is equal to B. That is, sin theta doesn't depend upon and cos theta doesn't depend upon radius of a circle. In that case, while I am asking to you, how can you determine the nature of sin theta, then you can simply say about if A increases then theta increases, if A decreases then theta decreases. Similarly, if B increases then cos theta increases, and B decreases then cos theta decreases. So it simply helps to understand a simple way. So we use circular function. This is nothing simple to understand trigonometry. Here you observe that there is hypotenuse is 1. Now I will go next topic. Circular function is nothing, it is simple. Now I will go in next topic and two terms. First of all, I want to take quadrant formula, which is so important for you. First of all, I want to write some standard angles which is used generally. As you know that I have already taught you pi by 3 means that pi by 3 radian, that will be 60 degree. Pi by 4 means that pi by 4 radian, that will be 45 degree. Pi by 6 means that pi by 6 radian, that means 30 degree. You have to remember it, that means not remember, so simple, you can convert it easily. Pi by 3 means that pi radian is equal to, you know that 180 degree divided by 3, that means 60 degree. Simply pi radian is equal to 180 degree. So you can put at the place of pi radian is equal to 180 degree, after it 180 by 4, that means 45 degree. Similarly pi radian is equal to 180 degree divided by 6, that will be 30 degree. Similarly, if you take pi radian, that will be 180 degree 2 pi by 3. If I take next term 2 pi by 3, then you can say that 2 pi by 3 means that 2 pi by 3 means that if you put pi radian is equal to 180 degree, then you get 120 degree. Similarly, there are all angles you can convert radian into degree or degree into radian. Now I will take a quadrant. As you know that quadrant is defined as 1/4 part of a plane. If you take two mutually perpendicular lines, then whole plane is divided into 4 parts. This is called first quadrant. This is called second quadrant. This is third quadrant. This is fourth quadrant. Now, as you know that in the first quadrant, you always take 0 to 90 degree. If you take from positive axis to the anti-clockwise, then you take always positive angle, while in clockwise you take negative angle. So you can say that in first quadrant take 0 to 90 degree positive angle, while in second quadrant you have to take 90 degree to 180 degree, and in the third quadrant 180 degree to 270 degree, and in fourth quadrant 270 degree to 360 degree. While in case of anti-clockwise, you have to take in fourth quadrant minus 0 degree to minus 90 degree. In third quadrant minus 90 degree to minus 180 degree. In third quadrant minus 180 degree to minus 270 degree. And in fourth quadrant, that means fourth quadrant, third quadrant, and second quadrant. And in first quadrant, you can write minus 270 degree to minus 360 degree. As in previous class, I have already discussed how can you identify given angle lie in which quadrant. As I have already discussed about it. For example, further I will take some examples. If I want to 130 degree lie in which quadrant, then you can say that 130 lies between 90 to 180, so you can say that it lies in second quadrant. Similarly, if I want to ask to you minus 1 to 78 degree lies in which quadrant, then you can say that minus 278, that means it lies in first quadrant. Similarly, if I ask to you 365 degree lies in which quadrant, then how can you find? Here, as you know that 365 lies between 270 to 360. So you can say that, 360. That is 365 is above the 360. So you can't say it lies in fourth quadrant. Now, here you observe that 365 is not present in any quadrant. How can you recognize in which quadrant it lies in? In that case, that is very simple. If this angle is positive, if given, suppose that here we take first angle 365 and second angle will be minus 365. Now you have to identify both angle lie in which quadrant. Then there are two ways by which you can identify both angle lie in which quadrant. First of all, if angle is positive which is more than 360, if angle is positive which is more than 360, then you have to subtract given angle, that angle. You have to subtract that angle to the given angle such that it lies between 0 to 360. You can, but always subtract angle natural multiple of 360. Be careful. You have to always subtract from given angle natural multiple of 360. For example, if you want to subtract from 365 that natural multiple of 360 such that the difference lies between 0 to 360. That is, if you subtract 1 times 360 from this angle, then you get 5 degrees. That lies between 0 to 360. So, if that is, now you have to recognize difference between both angle 5 degree. Where lie it? Where lie it? As you know that 5 degree lies in first quadrant, so 365 lies in first quadrant. Similarly, if in case of positive angle, if there is given minus 365, which is negative angle, then you have to find in which quadrant it lies. Then you have to go in same process, but here you have to add. Don't subtract. You have to add. How can you add? That is, here you have to go in similar process. You have to add that natural multiple of 360 degree. You have to add that angle which is natural multiple of 360 such that it lies minus 0 to minus 360 degree. As you know that if you add in this angle 1 times 360, then it becomes minus 5 degree. As you know that minus 5 lies in fourth quadrant, so it lies in fourth quadrant. So minus 365 lies in fourth quadrant. First of all, you have to learn this, or not you can't solve any problems of this chapter. First of all, you have to learn this concept. After it, you can go in your chapter. Otherwise, there creates many problems. Now we take next example, which is bigger than. Now, I want to take 7 pi by 3. In which quadrant this angle lies? You have to solve it. How can you solve? There are two processes. You can convert into it degree. After it, you go similar process, or second process, you have to go in same system. Same system means that radian. As you know that 7 pi by 3 is in a radian measure. So, as you know that 2 pi radian means that 360 degree. So, you can add 2 pi radian in this angle. If here as you know that it is a positive angle, which is above than the 2 pi radian, which is above than the 2 pi radian. Now, you have to subtract 2 pi from this angle. After it, you get pi by 3. If you subtract given angle 7 pi by 3 by 2 pi, then you get pi by 3. Now you have to recognize pi by 3 lie in which quadrant? As you know that pi by 3, that will be 60 degree. It lies in first quadrant, so 7 pi by 3 lies in first quadrant. Other process will be, you have to put 7 times pi radian means that 180 degree divided by 3, that will be 60, that will be 420 degree. 420 means that you have to check in which quadrant it lies. In which quadrant it lies, 420 degree. Then you have to, as you know that 420 is more than the 360 and it is also positive. So you have to simply subtract 360. Because if you, I have already said to you, you have to subtract that angle which is natural number times of 360 such that the difference lies between 0 to 360. So after subtracting 360 from 420, you get 160 degree. You get 160 degree. Sorry, 60 degree. It is a 60 degree, and 60 degree lies in which quadrant? In first quadrant. As you can see that here you will get in first quadrant. Similarly, here you also get in first quadrant. That is, first of all, you have to understand how can you recognize given angle lie in which quadrant. There is simple process is by adding 2 pi radian, that means 360 degree, or by subtracting 2 pi radian. It depends upon given angle is positive or negative. Now, I want to describe quadrant formula. If you understand this fact, now I will discuss quadrant formula. What does represent quadrant formula? First of all, I want to take circular function. You have to forget each of them, but I will give you finally a short trick to remember a whole formula. But further, you have to take concept. After it, I will again go short trick. First of all, we have taken a point, its radius will be 1, and let us we take a point P on circumference of a circle. This point P where whose axis will be A and ordinate will be B. Now you have to join with it and draw perpendicular. Similarly, in second, as you know that it is first quadrant and this is second quadrant and this is third and this is fourth quadrant. Similarly, you have to take here, and in third quadrant you have to again take in fourth quadrant you have to again take here it will be it is A and B. Here you have to given that A is greater than 0 and B is greater than 0. In this quadrant, second quadrant, A minus A and B. Here A is positive and minus A means that this direction and B will be positive. Here minus A, that means abscissa will be negative and ordinate will be positive. And similarly, if you take this angle theta and this angle theta, this angle theta, every angle I have supposed just like a theta. Here both will be negative, that means minus A minus B, and this will be A and negative minus B. Now, if I ask to you, can you define sine theta in first quadrant? What can you say about sine theta? Sine theta is simply perpendicular by hypotenuse. Then here perpendicular is equal to B and base A and hypotenuse is always 1. As you know that it is a unit circle, a unit radius circle. So sine theta is equal to simply B. And if you take in second quadrant, you can also say that sine theta is equal to similarly B. If you say in third quadrant, then you will say sine theta is equal to minus B, and in fourth quadrant sine theta is equal to also minus B. Then what can you say if theta lies between 0 to 90 degree? Where theta lies from 0 to 90 degree. Here theta lies 0 to 90 degree. Be careful, theta lies 0 to 90 degree because I have taken in first quadrant theta 0 to 90 degree, and in only second quadrant, if you compare in second quadrant from origin, that means positive x-axis, then you have to take angle 180 minus theta. 180 minus theta, because this theta will be completely this angle. That is, here you can say that this angle will be 180 minus theta. So here you get sine theta is equal to B, sine theta is equal to B, sine theta is equal to minus B, sine theta is equal to minus B. From this expression by figure, you can observe that sine theta in first quadrant and in second quadrant always positive, while in third quadrant and fourth quadrant be negative, because theta means that if you compare from positive, if you take this angle from positive x-axis, then you get angle 180 minus theta. If you compare it from positive x-axis, then what is the value of this angle? 180 minus theta, because this line, that means here this angle will be completely 180 and this angle theta, so you can say that this angle will be 180 minus theta. So you have to remember it in first quadrant and second quadrant sine theta always be positive, while in third quadrant and fourth quadrant will be negative. Similarly, you can consider for cos, tan, cot, sec, cosec for any angle by similar way, and you get a pattern of which can be summarized by tricks. You have to remember it. What is this trick? You have to remember it, and you don't consider about it if you do not if you cannot understand it. Now I will take some tricks. You have to remember it. After it, you can write simply. As you know that if anyone asks to you what is the value of sine pi plus theta, I don't write pi is equal to 180 because it is not used in class 11th or 12th, and in upper classes in there comes many less times anyone use it in degree angle, that means 45 degree, 60 degree. There are very less there comes a very less situation where anyone use it in degree. So I will try to you always write any angle in degree, sorry, in radian. Always write any angle in radian, because if you write in degree it becomes very crucial for you in upper classes. So you always try to write in any angle radian. So I have always used write all angles separately, pi by 3, that will be 60 degree. 60 degree is equal to pi by 3. 45 degree is equal to pi by 4. You have to remember it by practice, not separately. देखिए, first of all, now sin pi plus theta, how can you remember it? What is the formula of sin 3 pi by 2 plus theta? As you know that 3 pi by 2 means that 270 degree. If you want to write sin 2 pi plus theta, what is the formula of this? Sin minus theta, what is the value of this formula? Sin pi minus theta, what is the value of this formula? Similarly, you can take at the place of tan, you can take sec, you can take tan, you can take cot 3 pi by 2 plus theta, cot 2 pi plus theta. How can you write this formula? I give you a trick. First of all, you have to remember it. There is a very simple formula. You have to remember, in first quadrant all positive. You have to remember what? In first quadrant all positive. In first quadrant all positive. In second quadrant sine cosec. In third quadrant cos sec. In fourth quadrant tan cot. It is the formula. Means that all positive, sine cosec positive, in this quadrant cosec positive, in this quadrant tan cot positive. If here for convenience you have to consider always theta is greater than or equal to theta, but less than or equal to 90. Here for convenience we take theta is greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 90. You can take greater than 0 and 90, less than 90. Don't bother here. Sine, first of all, I have written some tricks. In first quadrant, all positive. In second quadrant, sine cosec positive. In third quadrant, cosec positive. In fourth quadrant, tan cot positive. After remembering it, as you know that theta lies 0 to 90. If anyone asks to you pi plus theta, where it lies? Where does it lie? How can you say where does it lie? Simply, pi means that 180 degree. Pi radian, not a pi. And theta lies between 0 to 90. As you know that pi means that pi. And you have to again proceed by 90. 90 means that one quadrant, but not in above 90, lie 0 to 90. That means you have to definitely lie in second quadrant, third quadrant, anywhere. Third quadrant, anywhere. Doesn't exact position, but if you take pi plus theta, that means you have to increase by some angle to pi. Here, as you know that pi means here, and you have to terminate. You have to terminate from negative x-axis towards negative y-axis and lie between negative x-axis and negative y-axis. Definitely you lie in this quadrant. That means suppose that you take pi is equal, theta is equal to, as you know that theta lies between 0 to 90, so you can take any angle. Just suppose 30 degree, then you take 180 plus 30, 210 degree. In which quadrant it lies? In third quadrant. Similarly, if I want to ask to you pi minus theta, where does it lie? You can say that pi lies in second quadrant. Pi is equal to 180 degree. Pi radian is equal to 180 degree. If pi radian is equal to 180 degree and theta lies 0 to 90, that means you have to decrease from 180 degree by that angle which lies between 0 to 90. That means 180 minus, suppose that angle will be 60 degree. Because theta lies between 0 to 90, you can take any angle between the 0 to 90. That means 180 minus 60. In that case, you get to 120. The difference will be, suppose that 180 minus 60, that means 120. In 120 degree, in which quadrant it lies? In second quadrant. Similarly, if I want to pi by 2 and pi by 2 minus theta, similarly 3 pi by 2 plus theta and 3 pi by 2 minus theta and 2 pi plus theta and 2 pi minus theta. If I want to ask pi by 2 plus theta, in which quadrant does it lie? As you know that pi by 2 means pi 90 degree, pi by 2 means that 90 degree, and you have to add that angle which lies between 0 to 90 in the 90 degree. Then what does it you get? What do you get? In that case, you get that angle which lies between 0 to 180 degree. That means 90 to 180 degree, because already pi by 2 is 90 degree, and if you add that angle which lies 0 to 90 to 90 degree, then you get definitely 90 to 180 degree. 90 to 180, that means 90 plus something which lies between 0 to 90. Suppose that it will be 50 degree, then you get 140 which lies in second quadrant. That means you can say that pi by 2 plus theta also lies in second quadrant. Similarly, pi by 2 minus, I give you, simply remember it. How can you decide formula? Have you understood or not? Not a standard formula, but for remembering it, you have to consider theta lies between 0 to 90. Suppose that pi by 2 minus theta. In which quadrant pi by 2 minus theta lies? As you know that pi by 2 is equal to 90 degree and theta lies between 0 to 90. In this case, you can take any value of theta. Suppose that it will be 10 degree. If you take 90 minus 10, that will be 80 degree. And as you know that 80 degree always lies in first quadrant. So you can say that pi by 2 minus theta always lies in first quadrant. Similarly, if I want to ask 3 pi by 2 plus theta, in which quadrant does it lie? As you know that 3 pi by 2 is equal to 270 degree. As you know that 3 pi by 2 is equal to 270 degree. You can put pi radian is equal to 180 degree. After putting it, you get 3 pi by 2 is equal to 270 degree. And 270 degree plus theta. That is, as you know that pi by 2, 90 degree, 180 degree, 270 degree. After adding the value of that angle which lies between 0 to 90 to 270 degree, then you definitely get something more than the 270. Something more than the 270. That means, suppose that theta will be lies between 0 to 90. So you can take, suppose that 40 degree. After adding 270 plus 40, you get 310 degree. And in which quadrant 310 degree lie? You can take decision. It lies in fourth quadrant. Similarly, if I want to ask to you 3 pi by 2 minus theta lie in which quadrant, then you can say that 3 pi by 2 minus theta, that means 270 minus something. And you know that 270 lies up to this point and you have to decrease. That means you can go again back. That means definitely it lies in third quadrant. That is, you have to take this concept pi minus theta, pi plus theta, pi by 2 plus theta, pi by 2 minus theta, 3 pi by 2 plus theta, 3 pi by 2 minus theta, 2 pi plus theta, 2 pi minus theta does lie, it lies in which quadrant? First of all, after it, then becomes very easy to remember any formula. As you know that 2 pi plus theta, in which quadrant does it lie? Can you say about it? It becomes very easy because 2 pi means that complete revolution of one complete revolution. Now you have to add theta which lies 0 to 90. Definitely you will again in first quadrant because theta 0 to 90. That means it lies first quadrant. If I want to ask to you about 2 pi minus theta, what can you say about it? In which quadrant 2 pi minus theta does lie? It very becomes easy because 2 pi means that one complete revolution. After it, you have to go in back by angle theta. By angle theta, that means you have to go back by theta. Definitely it lies in fourth quadrant. I think you understand this fact. How can you recognize given angle that is pi plus theta, pi minus theta, pi by 2 minus theta, pi by 2 plus theta, 3 pi by 2 minus theta, 3 pi by 2 plus theta. Similarly, 2 pi plus theta and 2 pi minus theta lie in which quadrant? Now, I give you some formula. And you have to always take in your mind, always, pi by 2 means that 90 degree, pi radian means that 180 degree, 3 pi by 2 means that 270 degree, 2 pi radian means that 360 degree. Now I will discuss next formula. How can you remember? First of all, I will give you some formula. You have to remember even times of pi by 2 if you have to write it, if there is given even times of pi by 2, then take same function. And the second point, if there is given odd times of pi by 2, then take complementary function. Of given trigonometric function. You have to remember it. What do I want to say to you? First, I introduce it. Suppose that what does it want to say? You have to learn it. Firstly, you have to see. Suppose that firstly I want to what do you mean by complementary function? Complementary function means that, as you know that in previous classes 10, the sine 90 minus theta is equal to cos theta. That means sine is complementary angle of cos. Similarly, cos 90 minus theta is equal to sine theta. That is, sine and cos is called complementary angle of each other. Similarly, tan and cot is each other complementary angle, and similarly sec theta and cosec theta is complementary angle to each other. If you understand it, then I will first rub it. Now I will proceed. I want to ask to you, if I want to ask to you the formula of sin pi plus theta, how can you, what is the value of sin pi plus theta and what is the formula of sin pi plus theta? First of all, what will be the, how can you recognize it? That is very simple. First of all, you have to identify. Anyone if asked to you, what is the formula of sin pi plus theta? How can you write its formula? First of all, you have to take decision in which quadrant pi plus theta lies. You have to take decision pi plus theta in which quadrant does it lie? As you know that pi means that 180 degree. That means half rotation of axis. That means 180 degree. And 180 degree plus something. That is definitely you will jump in after second quadrant, because you have reached already up to second quadrant. And after it, you will definitely, after adding any angle, you will definitely jump in third quadrant. So you can say that pi plus theta lie in third quadrant. After deciding in which quadrant given angle lie, you use sine. That means pi plus theta lies in which quadrant? Third quadrant. In third quadrant, what do you know about it? Cos and sec will be positive, and otherwise all trigonometric function will be negative. Cos and sec, here it is a sine function, then definitely it will be negative. That is, this angle determines the sign of given formula. That is, it determines the sign. Given angle determines the sign. So pi plus theta represents negative sign. Now, here, what is pi? How do you get pi? It is even times of pi by 2. That is, if you multiply 2 times pi by 2, then you get pi. So, in case you have, if there is given even times of pi by 2, then take same function, that is simply write sin theta. That is it is very simple. You have to simply remember it. First of all, recognize given angle in which quadrant does it lie. After it, with the help of sine, after taking decision in which quadrant does it lie, we will take positive or negative sign. It depends upon in which quadrant given angle lie. After it, you have to recognize in terms of pi. Here, given pi by 2, pi, 3 pi by 2, there are mainly 4 angles. Pi, 2 pi, 3 pi by 2, and pi by 2. Pi means that even multiple of pi by 2. So it gives same function, that means sine. Similarly, if I want to take 10 pi plus theta, what can you say about it? What is the formula of 10 pi plus theta? First of all, you have to recognize pi plus theta in which quadrant does it lie. As you know that pi plus theta lies in third quadrant, and you also know that in third quadrant cos and sec is positive, and other all angles will be negative. So firstly, you can use negative. After it, you have to take decision with the help of pi plus theta. Negative sign. Now you have to take decision with the help of pi. Here you have to write 10 or quad. As you know that pi is even multiple of pi by 2, so you have to write similar angle, that means 10 theta. Now similarly, I want to take next example such that you can understand so easily. For example, if I want to write sec 2 pi minus theta is equal to what? Similarly, sin 3 pi by 2 plus theta is equal to what? Sin pi by 2 minus theta is equal to what? Sin pi by 2 plus theta is equal to what? Sin 3 pi by 2 minus theta is equal to what? You can take any angle. First of all, you have to take decision given angle in which quadrant does it lie. As you know that 2 pi minus theta, 2 pi represents complete revolution. and after it you have to decrease by theta, where theta you can consider between 0 to 90. That means theta, that means definitely lies between fourth quadrant. That means 2 pi. You can another way consider 2 pi radian means 360, and after subtracting any angle positive theta, definitely you get in the fourth quadrant, because 360 minus suppose that 45 degree, then you get 315, and as you know that 0 to 270 to 360 lies in fourth quadrant. So you can take decision 2 pi minus theta lies in fourth quadrant. After taking decision 2 pi minus theta lies in fourth quadrant, you have to take decision about sign of this function. That means, as you know that in fourth quadrant, tan and cot is positive. Tan and cot are positive, and otherwise all trigonometric functions are negative. That means sec will be negative. So you have to write negative. Now, as you know that 2 pi is even times of pi by 2. So you have to take same function, that means sec theta. Now you have to take this example. Sine 3 pi by 2 plus theta. How can you write this formula? It is very simple. First of all, you have to consider in which quadrant 3 pi by 2 plus theta lie. It is very easy. Firstly, we have to consider 3 pi by 2 plus theta means that 3 pi by 2 means that 270 degree. You can consider another way. It means 270 degree, and or in another way, if graphically you go, you can consider 1.5 revolution. Sorry, half and fourth, 1/4, half and 1/4 revolution. Half and 1/4. Here it represents 270 degree. After it, you get adding something. After it, if you add any angle to 270, definitely you jump in fourth quadrant. That is 270 plus any angle, you can take any angle. Suppose that 5 degree, you get 275, which lies between 270 to 360, so it lies in fourth quadrant. That means you can simply write fourth quadrant. In fourth quadrant, as you know that tan and cot will be positive and other all trigonometric function will be negative, so you will take here negative. Now you have to write the function. How can you? Simple. Sine. It is sine. And here you observe that this angle is odd times of pi by 2. So you have to choose complementary of sine function. In case of even times, you take always same function of theta. But in case of odd multiple, you have to choose always complementary function of given function. That is, here it is given sine, or complementary function of sine will be cos. So you have to write here minus cos theta. Similarly, you can consider here cot pi by 2 minus theta. That is, as you know that pi by 2 minus theta. Pi by 2 is, what is pi by 2? That means it lies in which quadrant? As you know that pi by 2 means that 90 degree, and you have to decline by angle to 90 degree. That means theta may be lie between 0 to 90. You can suppose that 10 degree. If you 90 minus 10, that means 80 degree. 80 degree lies in first quadrant. If it lies in first quadrant, definitely it lies in first quadrant. If it lies in first quadrant, as you know that in first quadrant all trigonometric function will be positive. That means cot will be also positive. After it, you have to take decision. Here will be tan or cot. As you know that pi by 2 is odd multiple of pi by 2, because pi by 2 can be written as 1 times of pi by 2. Here 1 is odd. So that means here you have to write tan theta, because the complementary function of cot will be tan. Similarly, if I want to formula of tan pi by 2 plus theta, how can you write the formula of this function? It is very easy. First of all, you have to recognize pi by 2 plus theta, in which quadrant does it lie? And you know that pi by 2 means the 90 degree, and you have to add something, that angle which lies between 0 to 90 degree. That means 90 degree plus, suppose that it will be 15 degree. If you add 15 degree to 90 degree, then you get 105. 105 lies in second quadrant. So in second quadrant, as you know that sine and cosec will be positive and other all trigonometric function will be negative. So you have to take negative sign. And you know that pi by 2 is odd multiple of pi by 2. So you have to take a complementary function of 10, that means minus cot theta. Similarly, sine 3 pi by 2 minus theta, how can we recognize? First of all, you have to check out 3 pi by 2 minus theta, in which quadrant it lies. And you know that 3 pi by 2, that means 270 degree, and 270 degree, that means 270 degree declined by angle theta. As you know that theta between 0 to 90, you can suppose any angle which lies between 0 to 90. As you know that theta is equal to, suppose that theta is equal to 30 degree. If you take theta is equal to 30 degree, then you can say 270 minus 30, that will be 240, and 240 lies in always third quadrant. So in third quadrant, as you know that cos and sec will be positive and other all trigonometric function will be negative. So here it is given sine, so you have to take always negative. After it, you have to write sine or cos, you have to recognize it. As you know that 3 pi by 2 is even multiple, that means 3 pi by 2 can be written as 3 times pi by 2. 3 times pi by 2. So here this angle is odd multiple of pi by 2. So you have to write complementary function of sine, that means cos theta. That means sine 3 pi by 2 minus theta is equal to minus cos theta. It is the formula of all these formula are called quadrant formula. Now I give you some homework and you have to write it. After it, you understand the whole formula very well. I want to rub it first of all. And write bunch of trigonometric formula. Bunch of trigonometric formula. You have to write in, divide the whole plane in 4 parts. Sine, pi by 2 minus theta, cos pi by 2 minus theta, tan. Similarly, tan pi by 2 minus theta, cot pi by 2 minus theta, sec pi by 2 minus cosec pi by minus 2 theta is equal to what? You have to write it similarly. Sine pi by 2 plus theta, cos pi by 2 plus theta, tan pi by 2 plus theta, cot sec pi by 2 plus theta, sec pi by 2 plus theta, cosec pi by 2 plus theta is equal to what? You have to write it. Similarly, sine pi minus theta is equal to cos pi minus theta is equal to what? Tan pi minus theta. Similarly, cot pi minus theta, cot pi minus theta, sec pi minus theta, cosec pi minus theta is equal to what? You have to write it. Similarly, sine pi plus theta, cos pi plus theta, tan pi plus theta, cot plus theta, cot pi plus theta. Similarly, you have to write all formula. Now you have to again write sine 3 pi by 2 minus theta is equal to what? Cos 3 pi by 2 minus theta is equal to what? Tan 3 pi by 2 minus theta is equal to what? Similarly, you have to write cot 3 pi by 2 minus theta is equal to what? Cot 3 pi sec 3 pi by 2 minus theta is equal to what? Cosec 3 pi by 2 minus theta is equal to what? You have to write all formula. Similarly, sine 3 pi by 2 plus theta is equal to what? Cos 3 pi by 2 plus theta is equal to what? Tan 3 pi by 2 plus theta is equal to what? Cot 3 pi by plus theta is equal to what? And sec 3 pi by plus theta and cosec. Similarly, you have to write this formula. After it, sine 2 pi minus theta, cos 2 pi minus theta. Similarly, tan 2 pi minus theta, cot 2 pi minus theta, sec 2 pi minus theta, cosec 2 pi minus theta is equal to what? You have to write formula. Again, I take sine 2 2 pi plus theta cos 2 pi plus theta. Similarly, you have to write all formula is equal to what? You have to write, that means in which quadrant there will be 6, 6, 6, 6. That means 24, 24. 48 formula here exists. You have to write all formula. Then you take enough concept. That means you will get enough experience to understand all formula. Further, I will take some. I will describe some examples. Suppose that you have to write cos. What will be the formula of 10 pi by 2 minus theta? Suppose that you have to write 10 pi by 2 minus theta. As you know that pi by 2 minus theta, in which quadrant does it lie? As you know that pi by 2 minus theta lie in first quadrant, because it will be 90 degree and you have to diminish by angle theta pi by 2, then it will be definitely less than pi by 2 and lying between 0 to 90. Definitely it lies in first quadrant. As you know that I have already said to you, pi by 2 minus theta always lie in pi by 2 minus theta always lie in first quadrant, so it will be positive, because in first quadrant all trigonometric function will be positive. I have already written all positive, sine, cosec positive, tan cot positive, cos tech positive in fourth quadrant. Now that means positive. Now as you know that this pi by 2 is this pi by 2 is odd multiple of pi by 2, because pi by 2 can be expressed as 1 times pi by 2. It is odd multiple of pi by 2, so it will be complementary function. There you have to write complementary function of 10. Then as you know that the complementary function of 10 will be cot, so you have to write cot theta. I think you understand. Similarly, if you take this type formula, you have to write sin pi. Suppose that you have to write sin pi by 2 plus theta. As you know that pi by 2 plus theta lies in second quadrant, because pi by 2 means 90 degree and you have to increase by angle theta. 90 plus theta, suppose that theta is equal to 15 degree, you will definitely get 90 plus 50, that will be 105. You have to take theta always 0 to 90, be remember. And you know that pi by 2 plus theta, 90 plus 15, 105, that lies between 0 to 180, which lies 90 to 180, that means definitely it lies in second quadrant. So in second quadrant, sine cosec positive, as you know that it is a sine, so it will be positive. After it you have to take decision which function will be written here. As you know that pi by 2 is odd multiple of pi by 2, because 1 times pi by 2, that means definitely will be complementary function of sine, that means cos theta. Similarly, here you have to write formula sin pi minus theta. As you know that pi is 180 degree and you have to diminish by theta, that lies between 0 to 90. That means suppose that sin pi minus theta, that means sin 180 minus, suppose that 180 minus theta is equal to 30 degree, then 180 minus 30 represents 150, and as you know that 150 lies between 150 lie in second quadrant, so we will definitely you have to take sin theta, because sin pi in second quadrant all positive. In second quadrant sin cosec positive. Here it is sin and sin positive means that positive, and pi minus theta will take positive sin, and here pi is even multiple of pi by 2. Similarly, you can write a formula of this group, and this group, and finally this group. You have to write all formula of this each of them group. After it I will send, you have to send it again. I will discuss next concept of this topic. Further I will take some next topic in short way. Next topic is domain of trigonometric function. What do you mean by domain of trigonometric function? Domain means that input of function. Input, as you know that what do you mean by input and output? Input means that which value on which value you can put easily. As you know that, suppose that sine theta, cos theta, tan theta, cot theta, sec theta, cosec theta. Sine theta, if you put theta is equal to any angle, then you get something definitely. In each case, you get definitely any real number. So all real number is domain of this function. Similarly, cos theta में भी आपका all angle will be all value of theta will be domain. That means you can write theta belongs to real number, theta belongs to real number. Now you have to take in case of tan and cot and sec and cosec. In tan theta, suppose that if you take sin pi by 2 by cos pi by 2, can you determine its value? As you know that sin pi by 2 is equal to 1, but cos pi by 2 is equal to 0. That determines infinity. But infinity is not a element of real number. It is not a element of real number. It is a very large number, but it is not a element of real number. That means in case of pi by 2, tan theta is not defined. That means definitely pi by 2 doesn't come in domain of tan theta. That means trigonometric function of tan. That means definitely not only pi by 2. There are many angle as pi by 2 at which tan function is not defined. How can you determine which value of all value of at which it is not defined? I will again discuss in graph of trigonometric function, but I will only write r minus 12 plus 1 into pi by 2. Similarly, in case of sec theta, here you have to again write 12 plus 1 r minus 12 plus 1 pi by r minus means that all real number, but except 12 plus 1 into pi by 2, where n is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, dot any value. You may take any negative plus minus. Similarly, if you are in case of cot theta is not defined all real number except n pi, where n is equal to similar, and cosec theta as to all real number at n pi. That means domain means that collection of all value as inputs. That means you have to put in function, and it gives, after putting the value input, you will get definite real number. But in case of pi by 2, tan and cosec is not defined. There are also some value of angle, but we do not have discussed. Similarly, cot and cosec is not defined as pi, 2 pi, 3 pi, 4 pi. Now I will take some next concept, range of trigonometric function, about which I will discuss again in so detail, but here you have to discuss in shortly what do you mean by range. Simply, range of trigonometric function means that output. That means if you put, suppose that function range sine, cos, tan, cot, sec, cosec. What is the value of range of sine theta? If you put any value of theta, then you will get always angle. That means suppose that it will be x, then you get always value of x that lies between minus 1 to 1. You do not get in any case value of x greater than 1 or less than minus 1. You always get in any angle of theta that lies between minus 1 to 1. That means output of sine theta. Simply, if you put theta is equal to 420 degree, 360 degree, 5000 degree, any angle, then you will always get a value of sine theta that lies always minus 1 to 1. Similarly, you will get in cos theta always minus 1 to 1. And in case of tan theta and cot theta, any real number you can get. But in case of sec theta, you get always greater than or 1 or less than or equal to minus 1. And in cosec theta, always greater than or equal to 1 or in less than or equal to minus 1. That means in case of sec theta and cosec theta, you can't get any value of sec theta or cosec theta that lies between minus 1 and 1. That means minus 1 and 1. Minus 1 and 1 means what? Suppose that half ले लेते. Half can't exist for sec theta. This is the range of trigonometric function, and it is very useful to define to find the range of given examples. Just like sin square theta plus 5, sin square x plus sin x plus 3. It is very helpful for determining the range of function and domain of function. I will again discuss in next class, but today class is over because time is over. Thanks all of you. I will again discuss with you next class some basic concepts with some examples. I think you understand today's all concepts, domain, range, and quadrant formula. Today I think quadrant formula is taking most time, but it is very important. You have to understand, because if you do not understand, then there is many problems. You face many problems during solving problems of calculus. That means limits, continuity, differentiability. Because limits, continuity, differentiability, always problems are taken by trigonometric function. In much trigonometric function, if you do not understand trigonometry, then there creates many problems in trigonometry. So I think you have to remember it always, all formulae. And domain and range is also important. But on next is there is nothing in next problem is so easy, you can solve it easily. Thanks all of you. Bye. I will again meet in next class.